This evening, why don't we? My first guest is small, twinkly, and apparently indestructible. It's Richard Hammond, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Richard. It's looking good. Richard, can I just ask you something?
Yeah, far away.
When you came round after all the grief and all the accident and all that, okay, and you saw Clarkson with his bubble perm,
yeah,
and James May with his mullet,
yeah,
was there a moment when you thought you were in Life on Mars?
yeah, I would have rather been, honest.
Well, I'm glad you are here. You got here safely this evening?
Yes, I did. We got stuck. The car couldn't go any further because of the traffic, so Mindy, my wife, and I walked the last bit.
I bet when people see you walking, they go, yeah, probably the best thing to do.
There are comments.
I'll get in a car, mate. Richard Hammond's on the show, ladies and gentlemen. Delighted to have him back. Thank you for coming on. My next guest is one of Hollywood. We've got him on first because after our chat he has to drive himself home to Cheltenham at 3 miles an hour. Please welcome the hamster, Richard Hammond.
If I just live, would you live with me? Let's waste time chasing Ross.
How are you? Sit yourself down, Richard.
Thank you, thank you.
You're looking very well. You're looking very handsome.
Steady.
OK, listen, here's the thing. It's exactly 1 year and 1 day since Richard endured that awful crash that we all read about, and 1 year and 1 day ago. Yeah. I don't know how much you remember it from now, but how have things settled down since then? What do you think of it when you look back at it from this vantage point 1 year ago?
Well, it was a big old event, obviously, and it's a long old journey, and I think whenever anybody's got over any kind of head injury...
Brain trauma, yeah, head trauma, yeah.
Anybody who's got over anything like that will know that you get to the end of each week, you look back, and that's when you realise how you weren't actually better, and you think, I'm better. And then you get to the end of that week and realise, nope, I still wasn't better, but now... And it goes on and on and on.
Because you gave us your first television interview since it, when it first happened, this was a while back. Is it true you can't actually remember doing that?
No, not at all. That's why I got lost in there, didn't you see? Yeah, Richard Hammond and, well, one person clapped, thank you. And I couldn't find the door because they all assumed, oh, little fella, he's been here before. Yeah, he knows the ropes.
Yeah, but that's not so much memory, that's just stupidity.
It could just be that. It is. It could just be that. Well, it could have been briefed.
But you don't remember us having that conversation then?
Did you touch me in an...
No. But we did have a bet. You bet me £5,000 that Take That would not get back together.
Fair enough.
But that must be, I would have thought, quite a strange thing to deal with, knowing that there were chunks missing from fairly recent history, since the accident.
Yeah, only since. I mean, a perfect memory up to the accident.
So really, everything up to that crash?
Yeah. Right up to the point when the car went over and I thought something along the lines of, oh, bugger, that's that then. Yeah. And, yeah, right up to that point. But then afterwards, it's a bit hazy.
So how much is, when you say it's hazy, you have a dim recollection of some things, or whole periods have just
whole periods have just gone, because I had a sort of 20-second memory, so I was easy to entertain.
Yeah.
Read a paper, read it again, read it again. So I was very confused for weeks. I don't remember, I was in Leeds Hospital for a while and they looked after me magnificently, I'm sure, but I have no recollection, sadly. Right. And then in Bristol Hospital for a while, I remembered some of that. But no, big chunks of it went missing. You have a book out which neatly coincides with the year since it happened. And what's lovely about the book is that it's not just written by you, it's written by you and your wife. Because presumably, A, it's her side of the story, but B, also, there were chunks that you couldn't possibly tell because you were out of it or you can't remember. Yeah, we wanted to write it, and then we thought, right. And they said, go ahead, do it. And then we thought, oh, bugger, I can't remember most of it. So my wife, Mindy, agreed to write half of it. Yeah. Really well.
Yeah, so, well, her half is the easiest to read.
Yes, I know.
And the most entertaining.
Unfortunately, well, because they said to us, do you want... Because you know half of these things are written by ghostwriters.
Yeah, I do know. You don't have to whisper. We've got microphones. They can hear you. It's not written by a ghostwriter. Not written by but yours, you genuinely...
They said to us, do you want a ghostwriter? No, not at all. We want to do it ourselves. That's insulting. Then we sat down and, oh, my God, we've got to do it. And then we agreed that Mindy would have to do half of it. And I said to her, look, darling, you've never written professionally before. This is my world now. It's quite scary for you. So what I want you to do, I'm not going to sit and hold your hand and go through it. I want you to write your bit and then send it off to the editor. And then when he sends back his feedback, if he's a bit cruel, don't be hurt. Let's go through it and we'll reconstruct it. So she wrote it, sent it off, they wrote back, yeah, can we commission some novels? This is 10 times better than I'll ever be at writing.
Had you forgotten you were married? Had you forgotten you were married to Mindy? What?
A bit. I don't remember this. Mindy told me afterwards, yes, by all accounts, she's looking cross. I sort of did. I didn't forget Mindy. I fancied her.
main thing,
I did. Thank God. I did. No, I immediately fancied her, but I fancied her and attempted to chat her up.
Oh, that must have been... OK, what line did he use, Mindy? Can you remember?
Well, he said, "Oh, you're lovely, but I've got to stop talking to you now." And I said, "Why?" And he said, "I've got to go back to my wife." I said, no, I'm your wife." He said, no, my wife's French." And I thought, shit, he's having an affair.
Whatever you're thinking now is what I thought when she told me that.
You don't have a wife in France, though, do you?
No. Well, I don't know. For all I know, she could be an imposter, and I have. For all I know, I was happily married in France. She found me in a ditch, told me, "Yeah, I'm married to this little squirt," and then, I don't know.
Finally, she's found a father for her children. We're going to have a look at the crash now.
All right.
OK, you've looked at this footage any number of times, I guess.
Yes.
The first time you looked at it, was it difficult? Was it intriguing? Were you worried about seeing it?
The doctors wouldn't let me look at it at first because they were worried as to what it might do, and so I hadn't seen it. And about 6 months after the accident, or 4 months after the accident, I went in to see Health and Safety, you know, with their high-vibe desks.
Yeah.
And I went into their office and they were, "Now, Richard, we must..." And this was just for a meeting about ticking boxes and filling in forms and wearing high-vibe stuff. And one of them said, "Have you seen the crash?" And I went, no. And I was about to explain the doctors are nervous. "Do you want to? I've got it here on a laptop. Look, bosh!" And I did say, bloody hell, if watching that sends me leaping out of the window of the Health and Safety offices to the floor, it'll be ironic. But no, I've seen it since.
And so, but how did it feel seeing it the first time back? I mean, what went through your head?
It tallied in with what I remembered happening. It was just a mechanical process. It's not like... And for people who crash on the road or have an accident in ordinary life, you can see the trauma there, and now it would be difficult to get over it. But because what happened to me is pretty unusual, I watched it, and what unfolded. It was harder for Mindy to watch it. She completely fell apart. That was tough. And for my parents and my brothers, and I'm sure it was hard to see.
It's quite extreme. It's kind of exciting as well, of course.
It is. I've seen better crashes, to be honest.
No, it's a good crash.
By now, I'm faintly disappointed.
Joking aside, you have stared death in the face. You know, and I've interviewed people before who are like Terry Wogan, Bruce Forsyth, who on a regular basis. Every morning they wake up and look in the mirror. They're looking mortality in the face. But that must be, I would have thought, when that dawns on you, and we all kind of blithely kind of go about the business as if it's not going to happen to us, but I'm sure there must be a moment where, you know, it really comes home. And I would have thought after something like that, was there a period, did you get depressed? Did you engage with that, deal with that?
No, I didn't get depressed about that, not at all, no. I mean, it did bring home a sense of my own mortality. Danger of this becoming depressing, sorry. No, it did, it made it very apparent. But I mean, at the time when the car went over, I wasn't screaming and panicking. There was nothing more I could do. I pulled the lever to deploy the parachute. It didn't. So I thought, well, that's that then. There's next thing on my to-do list was to die. It wasn't arg. There was nothing else I could do as far as I was concerned. I was going to. So that thought stayed with me, but it didn't make me horribly depressed. Why would we be programmed to be hideously depressed by it? Because it's inevitable. We're all, none of us getting out of this one alive, etc. This is nice. Friday night, this is happy.
Richard, I still think
man talking about death.
No, they might still find something. By the time, you know, because we're about the same age, aren't we? By the time we get near death, they'll have found something, won't they? Something like
what?
You know, they'll find something from a lizard or something. You know, something that keeps you going.
Do you want to live forever?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, not for me, but for the people.
Because we'd be richer for having you around.
Richard, joking aside, imagine how depressed everyone's going to be when I cark it, all right? It's going to be like a black day in the UK, it really is. And they haven't even got a statue up yet.
Give
they
your
haven't
suits
had a plaque after me. They really better get a move on.
Give your suits away, that'll cheer up a couple of people.
Be a long process.
Who are the same size and shape.
You're right, of course, but what I was getting at is I wondered whether actually kind of not having your nose rubbed in it, but being pushed bang up against it. It's like, I almost died. You almost died that day, and that must be something that you are more aware of than, like, you know, I've never been through. I once went up on the curve a bit fast, but that was it, you know what I mean? I've never had something similar.
No, it did stay with me, and there was a very real sense, yes, and it has had an effect. I mean, it's very sort of private, and I don't mean that.
Why are they showing that picture of me on my motorbike?
Wow, that's your near-death experience. Or was it... God, you look a knob on that.
I was thinking I thought I looked quite daft.
No, you really do. They wanted to send me one of those things. That's a three-wheeler trike, isn't it?
I think I look like a bit like a pirate on a scooter.
I've just